Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the first lesson of the MyListing 101 course. Let's quickly go over the agenda before we dive into the technical bits. So as we see here on my screen, we've got 3 planned tasks on our agenda, and this should keep us pretty busy here. So what I'm going to hope to pull off here in this video is to show you from beginning to end these 3 elements. So the domain, the CDN, which is Cloudflare in this case, and the web hosting, which is Kinsta in this case. So I could have, spun up we could have used a subdomain in a Cloudflare account that was already set up. And then I could show you the settings and everything, go through all the settings that I recommend and all of that. And I could also just use the club's existing Kinsta account and create a site in there. But I decided, heck with that. I'm going to show you guys everything from scratch. So we've got a real domain that we can work with. We're going to set up a Cloudflare account from scratch, and we're going to set up a Kinsta instance from scratch. Okay. Even if you are not interested or you're on the fence about Kinsta, I think this video will be useful. I wouldn't poo-poo the fact that, this video is going to cover a host that maybe you don't use or you're not interested in using, because I think a lot of the same principles apply. I'm going to be talking about performance that relates to any web hosting. So I think before you think about skipping, the web hosting portion of this lesson, I would still watch it, because it may entice you to even switch to Kinsta, or it'll light a fire under you to think about how you can change things at your hosting. So I would definitely watch it, that part of the lesson, regardless of your hosting situation. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into the technical bits. I'm going to take myself off the screen here. When we work with this course, we're going to be using the MyListing project template, just as I would for a client project or a project of my own. Okay. I can't state it enough how much time and headache that this resource from the club is going to save you. And if you work with clients, using this on client project is going to save you big time. All right. So from the MyListing Club website, that's mylisting.club, scroll down the homepage just a bit, and under the MyListing Resources, what we're talking about here is the project template. So click into that card. So this is the very template we are going to be using live here in this video. Okay. So all I've done is, what you're seeing on the screen here, is I've duplicated this project template. I have not done anything else. I have not made any changes before recording this video or anything. You're seeing it in raw form, and there is a lot to it. You can watch the videos on the MyListing project template to fully understand what all is in this, but you're going to see a firsthand experience here right now and then throughout this course. Okay. So before we dive into the technical bits, I'm just going to take a moment here with you to clean up the template for things that don't apply to what we're doing in this course. Okay. I did a course back in July of 2022 that covered everything, including the business, doing website care for yourself, doing the exit strategy, things like that on the business side. This course is going to be hyper focused on the technical aspects, the infrastructure, the theme, WordPress, WooCommerce, those types of things. Okay. So I'm going to take a moment here with you to clear out the things, the high ticket items that we're not going to need right away. We're probably going to delete some others along the way, but I think this will be useful for people that get the project template and they look at it and they're like, it's daunting. And they don't want to hear from Ryan about the business aspects. They don't want to hear from Ryan about an exit strategy, because in their mind, they can't imagine like they're selling their business, exiting the business when they're just now building their website, So I get that. I think it's super important. So I would recommend keeping the original version of the project template intact and maybe make a clone of it by exporting it. But anyway, so let's go ahead and clean this up for the purposes of this course. And like I said, there may be some other things we just flat out delete as we go along because they're not relevant for what we're doing here, but we'll find that out. Okay, so first up is the intro and services. This is just letting everybody know all of the services that I offer, whether it's with the club or with my agency, WP Turned Up. So we don't need that in this whole column in this case for this course. So I'm just going to click these three dots here. And if you don't use Asana, maybe this will make you interested in Asana. I use the free version. I've used it for 5 years or more actually, and it's just beautiful for what it does. So. All right, so I'm just going to delete this whole column. So I'm going to choose delete section, and I'm going to choose delete this section and all of its associated tasks. Okay, so that's quickly gone. Managed website. This column has to do with that particular service that I offer. So if you get this project template and it doesn't apply to you, you can just delete this. However, for the purposes of this course, we are going to use some of this because we're going to recreate the Canvas starter site. Okay, so some of this is relevant. In this case, we don't need, I'm just going to pull out what we need and then we'll just delete this whole column after that. Keystone hosting, we're going to get to that. Cloudflare, we're going to get to that. Let me quickly look at these cards and see if I want to keep these or keep the others. I'm going to move this over here because I just can't recall what I have. See, I have two Cloudflares here, but they're different because they're just different topics, if that makes any sense. You'll understand here in a second. Keystone hosting, I'm going to do the same thing there just because I don't know what's underneath there compared to this web hosting. MyListing worksheets, same thing. I'll just drop that over here somewhere. We'll put it right there. Direct messaging admin center, yeah, that comes into play. WooCommerce subscriptions, that comes into play. Product vendors comes into play. Actions pack, that comes into play. Embed social comes into play. Image optimization, I cover that later. Email address, that's cool. All right, so we'll get rid of the rest of this column now. And I could go through some of these others and clean them up, but for right now, what I want to do is we're not going to talk about website care in this case. Let me see if there's anything I need to pull out of here. You know what? Just thinking on the fly here about the broken links, if I want to show you that or not. You know what? We'll leave that website care there for now. Let's get rid of exit strategy. I'll think a bit more on the website care part and think about what I want to pull out of that. All right. I think that is good for now. Yeah. No, one more. So sorry. Business would be the other one. Let me do a search for policies. Yeah. Okay. So we'll keep this here. I'll just drop it down towards the bottom on this column. Domains we're going to do now. All of this stuff. Google account, all of that. That's fine. Services, partnerships, pricing, newsletter. Do a search for that. I think we just have that one. I'll go ahead and copy this one too. Okay, I think we're good there. So I'm going to get rid of this column. And I think we're ready to rock. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks for bearing with me on that. Let's conquer the domain. It's not in. I don't think I brought it over here. That's actually part of the business side of things, but we're going to go. It's part of the business and website / infrastructure. But I'm just going to do that by memory here. So, all right, let's go ahead and dive in. So I use either Namecheap, which I have pulled up on my screen here, or I use Cloudflare for the domains. Any new domains that I go when I register, I try to do it on Cloudflare only because I like to keep things and try to keep things in one place. But I do have some domains still on Namecheap. The other thing about Cloudflare's domains is they are often cheaper than what some other providers like Namecheap and GoDaddy and stuff like that provide. So I would definitely check out both, multiple places when you're registering your domains, but I use either Cloudflare or Namecheap for those. So I've got a domain here, and it's, obviously it's a live working usable domain. So we're going to use this sucker to build our website. Okay. So we're going to leave this sit here for now. We're going to jump back into our project board. And first up is Cloudflare. We need to set up an account. Let me see which of these I want to use. Okay, this is the one I don't want to use. We'll delete this. Okay, so if you get this project template and you're looking at the Cloudflare card, I give you instructions. If you're a client of mine, I would assign this task to you. So it would be a link to sign up for free, which I've already pulled up. And I'm just going to do all of this by memory here. At least I think I am. So I'm going to sign up for a new account. And I'm going to choose the free plan. Okay, and let me think of an email address I want to use for this. I'm going to pull up my email on another screen. And I think we'll just go ahead and use MyListing Club. So Ryan at my. And let me think of a strong password here. I use a password generator. I use Bitwarden to generate strong passwords and store my passwords. So over on my other screen, I have Bitwarden installed as a Chrome extension. Highly recommend it. All right, so I've got my password there. It's saying here I need a special character. So I'm going to go back to Bitwarden and change my settings so that it forces a special character. On this computer, I haven't configured Bitwarden to do that. So each computer, you can have a different profile in Bitwarden. All right, so I'm going to regenerate now. I'm going to copy that password that Bitwarden gave me, paste it in. There we go. So I've satisfied the password requirements, and let's sign up. Okay, thanks for signing up for Cloudflare. Let's click this button, add a website or application. I haven't actually done this in many years because it's just I've had Cloudflare set up for so long. Okay, here we go. So we just enter our domain, that domain that we have, which in this case is Online Directory Club. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste that right in here. Click continue. And again, we just want the free plan. So click continue. So what just happened is Cloudflare is going out and it's looking at the registrar, which in this case is Namecheap, and it's just pulling in all of the DNS records for that. So if I was to go into the actual domain name, should be able to click into that. I guess you can't. So I'll click Manage here under Advanced DNS, and let's see. Oh, it's been a while since I did this too. Let's see, DNS. Where is my DNS records in here? Oh, okay. I see what's going on here. That's why I couldn't find it. All right, let's do this again. So I had it at some point. I was working on setting up this website. So I had set it previously to the Cloudflare's name servers, which we're going to do, but that's why I couldn't. That's why I couldn't manage the DNS here on the Namecheap side of things. Okay, so now we're back on at the defaults, which is Namecheap's DNS settings here. So what it did was, here's all of the records in here. There's nothing really going on, but Cloudflare came in here and gobbled all of this stuff up here. Okay. So that's what that did. So what that does is it helps ensure that you're not missing any DNS records. Your site's not going to go down. There's not going to be a disruption of service or anything like that. So Just take a quick glance at this. There's typically nothing you need to do. But yeah, we're just going to click continue here. And Cloudflare is going to give you some name servers that they want you to use. So you can link up your domain over on Namecheap or whatever with your Cloudflare. Obviously, if your domain is already in Cloudflare, it's going to eliminate some steps. So I'm just going to click to copy link to copy that first Cloudflare name server. I'm going to go back into my Namecheap, and I'm going to set the, I want to use custom name server. So I'm going to switch from standard name servers to custom name servers. I'm going to put that in there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go back here. Let's go back to the domain tab. We'll keep this easier. So I'm going to change from the Namecheap basic DNS over to custom DNS. There we go. I'm going to punch in this name server. I'm going to go back to back to Cloudflare and copy that second name server, plug that in, and then hit this green X here, or green check mark to save. Okay, so now we're telling Namecheap, hey, let's use Cloudflare's name servers. And because we are on Cloudflare, we're going to be on Cloudflare for our CDN, they have the fastest DNS, period. So resolution, DNS name resolution in this case of all of your records is going to be lightning fast, if not instant. So if you've ever hosted your domain with people like GoDaddy or something like that, those are typically, they can take up to 24 hours even before things resolve, the names resolve and everything. It's just a pain in the butt if you really get excited about getting your project going. But this is the beauty of Cloudflare. This should be pretty instantaneous. So we're going to jump back over to Cloudflare, and we're going to click this check name servers now. So it's saying, hey, let's go back to our registrar and verify that you've put the correct records in. Okay. And as it says here, Cloudflare is now checking the name servers for that domain. Please wait a few hours for an update. You don't have to wait that long you won't have to wait that long for this combo of Namecheap and Cloudflare. So I'm going to click continue. And then we're going to run through this quick start guide, and then we're going to actually configure Cloudflare. So we'll run through this. You just go with that default setting there, click save. You always want to use HTTPS. So tick that to enable it, save. Go with the default here with Brotli. You can read up all about that. I've got a guide on Cloudflare if you're interested in knowing the ins and outs, or you can just click help to understand what some of these settings are. As I say in my guides, don't just guess at the settings. So make sure when you set something, you understand what it is that you're setting, okay? All right, let's click finish here. Sometimes Cloudflare takes you through the quick guide again. Okay, it didn't in this case. All right, so we're just waiting on the name servers to finish resolving. We'll go ahead and set up Cloudflare. Okay, so the first thing that I would do is go up under SSL TLS and click the Overview tab. And because we are on Kinsta, we want to set this to full strict. Okay, and then say confirm. Now with whoever you host with, if you're somewhere other than Kinsta, make sure that this setting here jives with your web host. All right, don't just set full strict for yourself. Okay, next I'm going to jump over to Edge certificates. Scroll down here a bit, and I'm going to enable HSTS. Okay, I'm going to toggle all of these on. And then for the max age header, I'm going to set this to 12 months. Even though 6 months is recommended, you can check out my guide for why I recommend 12 months. So that's my recommendation. We're going to click save. Okay, minimum TLS version, set this to the highest value possible, which in this case is TLS 1.3. Moving on down, that is it in this section. Next up, we're going to go down to speed and optimization. And Cloudflare is going to tell you which of these performance tools, settings, options, features, whatever you want to call them, require an upgrade from the free version. So you don't need any of that. So anything that says update required, you can just skip that. For the other ones though that show disabled that are available to you under the free plan, we're going to enable those. So I like to right click and open these in a new tab. So we're going to do that for that one and this one. Okay. Go ahead and toggle those on. Boom. And what was this one here? Early hints. Next up is, while you're in this screen, we're going to go ahead and auto minify all three of those options. Okay, and we'll close that tab and close this tab. Okay, so those are all set. And the next thing we want to do is jump to the caching configuration. And browser cache TTL, again, with combination with Kinsta, I like to use respect existing headers. I'm not going to get into what that's all about, but you can click help here to find out. You can read my guide where it gets into that, but that's how I set that. So check with your host if you're not with Kinsta. That in combination with maybe your personal preference and things like that, but this is how I set it up here. Crawler hints, we want to toggle that on. And that is it under there. Okay, next up we want to go down to rules and page rules. We want to create a page rule. And they're helping us out here with this example. I don't use www for anything. That's just, old school. You don't really need to do that anymore. So I just copy everything up to the www, paste that in for the URL. The other thing I do though is I do a star asterisk dot. So this URL is saying any website that is tied to this top level domain, which is onlinedirectory.club, or even a subdomain, which is what this star dot in front does. So maybe you have a subdomain that's like community.onlinedirectory.club. That would be a subdirectory. That's what this does. This one right here, the /* means any subfolder. So maybe you have like a secure login folder, which we are going to have, or a path in our URL. That's what that would be for there. Okay, so this covers your bacon for everything if you set it up this way. Again, you don't need the www in there, so that's that. I'm going to copy this because we're going to use a big portion of this. Okay, so this is for our entire site, right? Like I said, this covers everything. So what we want to do, because we are on Kinsta, which Kinsta has a tight partnership with Cloudflare to provide enterprise level features for no additional cost. That is a really important thing to note. Not every host does that. So you're getting very expensive enterprise level features from Cloudflare with the Club's Kinsta plan. Okay, so again, we're going to target everything that has to do with this domain. All right, so we want to go cache level, select cache, bypass. What this does is it says all across the board, hey, let's just rely on the Kinsta Cloudflare enterprise partnership to do its thing. That's the simplest way I can tell you. But we're going to get into that a little bit more when we get into the Kinsta side of things. Okay, so we're going to click Save and Deploy Rule. All right, we're going to go back and create another page rule. We're going to paste in what we copied. Okay, this time we're going to take out that asterisk at the end. So we're saying any subdomain, and as well as the top domain, across the board, everything. And then for our subfolder here, we're just going to do ODCSEC. So what this is going to be our secure login URL for our website. Okay. So, and we'll get into that too later on. But I just take the abbreviation. So Online Directory Club, short for ODC. And then I append SEC for security at the end. So ODC SEC. Okay. For the settings, we want to disable apps. We want to disable performance. And the last thing we want to set on this one is a security level. So again, this is our custom login URL. We want to set the security to high. Don't go any lower. Don't go any higher. Just go high. Okay. So what we're doing now is we're saying on our secure login URL, let's disable the apps. Let's don't do any performance stuff on that. Let's set the security level high because this is our secure login URL. Okay. Now, it's not just about security though. People, have programs, bots can find this stuff. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But even if they do, it's about performance too. So it's not just what they call security by obscurity. Like some people say, oh, you're hiding the login URL for WordPress. That's cute, but we can still find it. Like we're security experts, we're ethical hackers, we can find it. Okay, cool. But then there's the bots out there that know that because of WordPress, what you're typically used to seeing is WP-admin or WP-login. The bots are looking for those well-known URLs and they're hitting those. By doing what we're doing here, we're obscuring that so the bots can't hit those, and that helps with the performance on your website because it's not getting constantly pinged by these bots. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. We'll get into that more. We're going to say save and deploy this rule as well. Okay, and we're just going to leave that in that order. We want the secure login URL to be at the top. It doesn't really matter that much which order these are in, but I just leave the defaults. That's fine. All right. Moving on down, I believe we covered network when we configured our performance earlier. I'll take a quick check here. Yep, we're good to go there. Next up is Scrape Shield. I like to turn off email address obfuscation, which means you're trying to obfuscate email addresses from the source code. You can read my guide of why I turned that off. It's a performance, and it's doesn't always work because it doesn't always work. And then I like to turn on hot link protection, which basically protects people from taking some of your content. Okay, and that's it. We're good. Over time, I tweak and adjust Cloudflare as new things come out, test new things. But as of this recording, this is exactly how I would configure Cloudflare. Okay, let's go back. And as we see here, just in that amount of time we were configuring Cloudflare, we are good. It's talking to Namecheap, where the domain is registered. Namecheap has given up its rights, in air quotes, to manage the DNS. Cloudflare is now managing the DNS. So we are good to go there. All right, let's go back to our project template. Always fun to cross off tasks we completed, right? Feels good. So we can delete Cloudflare, and we're going to go now into Keensta. Let me see which one of these task cards I want to keep. Yeah, all right, we'll delete this one. Like I said, I've pulled these from different columns. Some of these task cards are worded towards people who signed up for the Manage My Listing service. Some are geared towards just the general public that buy their project template. Okay, Keensta hosting. Let's go ahead and set this up from scratch. Like I said, have a blank account for Keensta. All right, this is just an account that was granted to my agency just for being a Keensta partner. So it allows me to set up everything from scratch with you here today in this video. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're just going to click create a site, but this is, like I said, I could have skipped this part. I could have just jumped in with the club's Keensta account, created a new site with you, blah, 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 blah. But I wanted to show you what it would look like if you signed up for Keensta yourself, from doing this on your own from the beginning to the end. All right. Let's click create a site. We're going to choose the install WordPress option. Click continue. Give this thing a name. We're just going to call this MyListing 101. For the data center, you always want to try, if you can, to choose a boosted data center. Okay. If you are, that just means they've upgraded their technology in those particular data centers with the latest, greatest stuff. So you're going to have faster infrastructure. So if it applies to you and you can use it, try to use a boosted option here. If you are serving people worldwide, this becomes less of a thing. And then I would absolutely at that point then choose a boosted option. Okay. The CDN, Cloudflare in this case, is going to serve that data worldwide and serve your content to various locations around the world to those people as fast as possible. It's not going to be, the goal is to not serve the data from your actual server, but to serve it from Cloudflare. So one of the main purposes of Cloudflare is distributed content. Put the content as close as possible to your users, your customers, etc. Okay. But if you're global again and using a CDN, try to choose a boosted data center. If you're only serving a local community, for example, choose the server that's closest to you in that case, especially if you don't go with a CDN. But I would recommend, no matter what, let's just go with the premise that you're going to use a CDN no matter what. I don't care if you're serving your town. I would go with Cloudflare no matter what. So let's go with that premise, okay? So I'm just going to show you my example, my real world example. I am on the East Coast. The closest server to me happens to be South Carolina, which happens to be boosted, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and select that one and click continue. Great, I'm gonna put that site title back in here, MyListing 101. Put in my username and copy that password to my, oh, you know what, I'm gonna put in just a generic password here so I don't have to remember it. I've got this memorized. Okay, that's that. Email's good. We're just gonna go with the English language here. And I'm not going to install any of this other stuff. We could install WooCommerce at this point, but I'm not going to do that because I want to show you certain steps there. Click continue. And this site should spin up pretty fast. While that's doing that, we're going to go back into, we don't need the domain anymore. So we've already got that part knocked out. So get rid of that. Next up, we're going to come back in here and see what we can do to clean up this project board even more. So I appreciate you bearing with me while I do this. This is just, it's got to be done anyway. So we're gonna do that here. Maybe some things that I can talk about while this is going on. So delete that task. We're gonna get into the SSL certificate. So we need that. We'll get into that. I'm just talking out loud here, guys. All right, we'll talk about this really quick. This is one of those things that's up for debate. We're going to get into I'm going to show you the Kinsta backup options and some other recommendations. This is one of the things that, as you see here on my screen, I have it. It's up for debate if you get the project template. As I say in this task card, in all my years, I've never used like a regular backup plugin. I shouldn't say never. Like back in the very, very early days of running my agency, there was one that I used, which has now been transitioned. The company's been rebranded. Yeah, I don't need to go into all that, but it's now solid. It's now under the Solid WP brand. But yeah, I did have I'm being honest, I did have a backup plugin. Way back in the day. So I just typically say never because it was just such a short period of time. Once I started getting on better hosting, it just became a non-issue. But the reason it's up for debate is it depends on where you're hosting. It depends on your situation. It depends on your level of comfort. That type of thing. With Kinsta, it virtually eliminates the need for a backup plugin. However, I do recommend, I come from an IT background, backups were massive. We had multiple versions of backups. We're talking like local backups on the server. We had a disaster recovery site that we were replicating our data to. We had backup. So we're backing up to this local servers. We're backing up to tape drives locally. We had a company that was coming in and taking those tapes off site every day and securing them in vaults. Like that's the background that I come from. So that's how I'm able to speak on this. And you need at least two places to restore from. So one would be, in my case, the hosting and be Kinsta. and you need something else. All right. What I choose to use is WP Umbrella at this time. And the reason I choose that is because I need WP Umbrella installed anyway to do all of the goodies that it offers, which 1 hour backup, for example, is one of the things that I use it for, which is huge because we, as MyListing website owners, need WooCommerce and we take orders via WooCommerce. We need to be able to restore within an hour's time frame if possible. Worst case, maybe 3 hours, maybe 6 hours. But if you have to do a restore back from the night before, the day before, it's very, very messy for WooCommerce stores. So that's one of the real awesome perks of WP Umbrella. Since I need it installed anyway for the perks that I get, I don't need another backup plugin because it does the backups for me. And like I said, all of those other goodies, okay? But if you don't want to go with WP Umbrella, which is very inexpensive, like if you just have one site and you want to get WP Umbrella, cool. And it's very inexpensive for what it does. That would be my recommendation. So again, just a quick summary. I use Kinsta and WP Umbrella. Those are my two backup sources. If you want a third or you don't want a third restore solution, a backup solution to restore from, and you don't want to, or you want to not go with WP Umbrella, then we're looking at WordPress backup plugins. And you can click here on this link to see what the club offers. There's some deals here. So a few for you to choose from. Okay. Solid WP was that backup plugin that I used back in the very, very beginning of my agency. That whole solution has been renamed now. So it's not what it once was. It's better, I believe. I just haven't used it, but from what they say, it's better than it ever was. So I have to just trust them on that since they're obviously a partner. But again, WP Umbrella, that would be my recommendation for that. All right. So that's why it's up for debate. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and we are going to, what are we going to do here? I'm going to do something here. I'm going to show you this. So we'll do WP Umbrella. I'm going to create another task for this. We'll put this under launch down here, and we'll go ahead and get rid of this up for debate card. Let's check back over in Kinsta and see if there's anything we can do before we continue on here. Cool. The site is done. We're now going to click Manage Domains. And let's run through all of this, all right? One of the things to note right away is that you can label your site, okay? You can put as many labels as you want. So if you have multiple sites, then those labels are important, for filtering things out. If it's going to be your only site, maybe you don't label it. But Kinsta makes it super easy to find the information you need for your environment, whether it's the SFTP information, to connect to an application like FileZilla, which we are going to do eventually. It's a free application for any operating system for browsing your web files. Super easy to access your database. You just click this link, paste in these credentials that Kinsta gives you, and you're in your database lightning fast. And it's beautiful. Another really cool feature that's newer to Kinsta is the reset site. Maybe you're familiar with a plugin called WP Reset. This is a kind of like a version of that. So before, if you needed to start over, maybe you had a backup from the very beginning of time with your website, you could go that route. But typically you had to delete your site like this and start over. So really nice feature there. Let's jump over into the domains. Really quickly, they give you a nice link up here if you want to go straight to your WordPress admin or visit your site on the front end. Okay, back over in our domains, I'm going to start kicking this off. This is the temporary domain that Kinsta gives you. We need to add our actual domain. Okay, so I'm going to click Add Domain. And that domain is, again, just do whatever you want. I don't use www for anything. So, and you'll see why here in a second. Online directory.club is our domain, and we'll just click Add Domain. You see it, we're just waiting for there we go. So now Kinsta gives us a couple records. And remember, Cloudflare is now doing our DNS. So that's where we're going to add our DNS records. They tell you exactly which record type you need. So it's a text record in this case. And they tell you the name, the host. So copy that record. Again, creating a text record. Go back into Cloudflare, go to DNS, click add record, change the type, again, to text, paste in the name, go back to Kinsta, grab the value, copy to the clipboard, go back to Cloudflare, paste in that value into the content area. Okay, just like that. Click save. Okay, so now we go back into Kinsta and we say, okay, I've done it. Go check. Make sure that I've done that. All right. At this point, you can go walk your dog, sit on your porch, have a coffee, whatever. You're going to get an email when this step is completed, and it's typically pretty quick. Otherwise, you can just sit here like watching paint dry and watch this. Your dashboard will dynamically update when it's ready for the next steps. Okay. We're going to go ahead and knock down this security plugin, and we'll jump back into Kinsta and see where we are. This is another one that's up for debate. This one, I can honestly say, in all my years, I've never used a full WordPress security plugin. And that's because of the hosting. I've always had gone with quality hosting, and needing an extra security plugin was never needed. But again, it comes down to, your level of comfort, who you're hosting with. Are you putting Cloudflare in front of your site? If you're using a quality host like Kinsta that has a major focus on security, or Cloudflare, which massive emphasis on security, that eliminates the need for a security plugin for me. Okay, and it's just the way it's always been. I've never been hacked. I've never had a malware issue. None of my clients that have ever been on that stack of Kinsta and Cloudflare have ever had an issue. If there is an issue, Kinsta will clean up any malware for free. That's another really cool feature of Kinsta. So because of those elements, a security plugin is not needed in my mind. Okay. Part of it is, again, I come from that IT background where security was paramount. Okay. Massive. Like we had to pass certifications to get, certain levels of recognition in the industry, because we handled data, for customers and stuff. So we had to pass certain requirements. So I know all about the procedures, things you should be doing, common sense, best practices, all of that type of thing. So this is kind of the stack here. At the very top, you've got Cloudflare. So think about that as like the fence around your house, right? So before intruders can even get to the house, they've got to get through the fence. So that's Cloudflare. Okay. Next up is your house. So that would be like your home security system. That would be Kinsta. Then what sits in the middle is the security plugin. So let's say they breach your house, which would be Kinsta in this case, and they get into your site. They're now inside your home, which would be WordPress. They're inside your application. They're inside your home. That's WordPress. And that's where the security plugin comes into play. The issue with this is that once they are in your house, it's too late, right? Think about that. You're only maybe you have a baseball bat or a gun or something that's like at your bedside, but it's too late. If they're in your house, you're sleeping, it's too late, right? That's the analogy I use. And that's why WordPress security plugins often do not work. Okay. Next up is 2FA. I put 2FA on everything, two-factor authentication. Whether it's websites I log into that have admin level access, I have 2FA installed on all my WordPress sites. So I need my phone to get into my sites when I log in. Might seem like a pain in the butt, but to me, that extra 2 seconds to put in that 2FA authentication is worth it. And then last up is just common sense best practices. If you get crazy links in your emails and like from an unknown sender and it looks kind of odd, don't click on it. If you get something on your phone that looks suspicious, don't click on it. companies really need to get a hold of you for whatever reason, they're going to find a way, right? Just use common sense best practices. Don't use simple passwords that are easy to guess. Use different passwords for everything you log into. Those types of common sense best practices, okay? And I cover all of that here in this task card, all right? So we're going to go ahead. We're not going to do a security plugin, so I'm going to delete this. Oh, so I will show you. If you want to get a security plugin, click on this link. There's all the deals for security related plugins. And then there's some guides here. Click on that link. Here's all the guides that have a tag of have to do with security. Okay, so that's that, and we're going to get rid of this. All right, let's go back to Kinsta and see what we've got going on. Okay, we've got our next objective that Kinsta has given us. We need to verify our domain, so we're going to click on that button. A couple more records to put in. So another text record. So you know what we need to do here. Go back, copy that, go back into Cloudflare, create our text record. I'm just flying through this because we already did a text record example. Save. All right, Kinsta wants a different record in this case. They want a CNAME record. Okay, so we're going to copy that name, go back to Cloudflare. We're going to create a CNAME record this time. Paste in that name. Paste in the value. Now, difference on this one. We do not want to proxy this. So we're going to toggle that off. The orange cloud means it's proxy. What that means is we are running that data through Cloudflare. Okay, we don't need to run this data through Cloudflare. The only thing we need to run through Cloudflare is our top level domain CNAME and our www CNAME, which we're going to get into. Okay, so I'm going to toggle off the cloud there, the proxy, and save. I'm going to go back to Kinsta. I'm going to say, hey, we've done it. Please verify that we've done it. Okay, while we're here, because this site has nothing on it, nothing's published, there's nothing for the public to see or anything like that, we have no risk of anything, we're going to go ahead and set this as our primary domain. So you click on these three dots right here, and we're going to say make primary domain. We're then going to check this box. We want to run a search and replace. So it's going to say, hey, all of those old URLs from the temporary domain, we're going to, let's rename all of those and set those to our actual live domain. So click this button, make primary. And we'll just wait for that to complete. Okay, so we will let that sit again. We're just waiting for the next set of initiatives for Kinsta to give us. All right, let's go to the backups and we'll quickly see what this is all about. You're going to get an automatic daily backup that Kinsta performs for you. Really cool. If you want hourly, you can pay. It is expensive. That is why I recommend WP Umbrella. It is a fraction of the cost, and you get actually. So you see here, it's like Kinsta just doesn't want you to sign up for these for whatever reason because it's just so absurdly priced. But so they want hourly backups for $100 a site per month. I think WP Umbrella, I don't know, $1.50 or something like that, but it's well worth going with WP Umbrella to get those hourly backups. Manual, you can create up to 5 manual backups. If you get to that, you've created 5 backups and you don't need one, and but you need to create another one. Just delete that older backup and then you can create another one. But you can have a maximum of 5 manual at one time. I don't use this in a live environment because I use a staging environment. But in the staging environment, I use this. If I want to quickly test something and do a restore actually back into the staging. But yeah, I mean, this is useful in case, like, let's say like a major Elementor update comes out. But you should be testing this stuff in staging. That is what I preached. And it's what I do. I test all this stuff in staging, but I have to tell people this all the time just in case they don't use staging, all right? Because let's say Elementor, let's say you're too lazy to use staging. Let's just call it what it is. You're You're just willing to roll the dice and take a risk. Let's just say you're not going to use staging. So Elementor comes out with a massive update, a major release, a .0, or WooCommerce does, or maybe MyListing comes up with a major update. That's when I would use this. If I'm not using staging, which I always use staging, then I would click backup now, create that quick manual backup, then update those plugins or themes and test. And then right away, if there are no issues, you can roll on. But if you notice an issue, you can restore right away. But again, this is highly risky because if the site is live and taking orders, like you don't want to go through this process. Okay, got to use staging. I'm just going to keep harping on that. System generated. If Kinsta detects something in their system where they feel like they need to create a on-the-fly backup for you, they will. External, for very inexpensive, you could back up to one of these services. So that could actually give you your second level of backup outside of Kinsta. You just need the backups to be on separate systems. So this would satisfy that. But again, for that $2 a month, I would just do WP Umbrella, which gives you other stuff. Download, you can create these once per week, as it says here, and then download them to your local workstation if you want to do that. Okay, let's go back to our domains and see if we have our next initiative, and we do. So we're going to click this point domain button. Okay, as we see here, we got a couple new records. So these are the two main CNAME records here that I was telling you about. So we're just going to copy this. The values are the same for both. So we go back over into Cloudflare. Now here's a key point here. We can't have these A records in here. So we need to change those to CNAME. So we're going to change those to CNAME. Paste in that value that Kinsta gave us. And we do want these to be proxied, as I said before. This is that top level domain that should be proxied. Save. Let's see. So it's throwing us an error. It's because something already exists. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get rid of all these A records in here. We're just going to start. We don't need these. This one, I think we'll get to. Yeah, we'll just delete these. I'm going to keep this simple for you here. I could have edited those. We're just going to delete all these A records. We're not hurting anything. Our site's not, we don't have a live site. It's, you take a little bit more care if your site is live and you're moving over to Kinsta, obviously. But we don't have a site here, so no big deal. All right, so let's create those records. And their CNAME. And we're just going to put @ for our root. And all of that's saying, when we do that, you see what populated here. So I'm going to type that in again. Oops, wrong one. There we go, the @ symbol. So you see this populated, it's now saying like this is what it considers to be the root, which is what we want, all right? You could also just type in, you can paste this in, which is the same thing, okay? You can just type in @ to save yourself some time. All right, let me go back and grab this record because I closed that screen. Okay, we paste this into the target there. And again, we want that proxied. We click save. And we have another error. So what is it not liking here? Oh, these. Yeah, we got to get rid of these as well. This is all coming from, the previous domain registrar, Namecheap in this case. So it automatically created these records for us that we don't need, and it's conflicting. So just get rid of all the A records, all the quadruple A records. There we go. All right, let's do this again. It's just good practice. Add record, CNAME, type in the @ symbol for the root directory. Cool. Paste in that value. We want it to be proxied. Save. Cool. We do this exact same thing again, but this time we put www in front. And that's what I said earlier I was going to tell you about, why I don't put www in front of anything. You just don't need to. So we're going to click add record, CNAME, www, dot, and then, actually you don't even need that. You can just do www. See how that automatically fills that in for you? Put that same value in from the other record. We want it proxied. Remember, we want these two records are the only ones we need to have proxied. There we go. So now we have onlinedirectory.club, our top level domain covered, and our www.onlinedirectory.club. We've got both of those covered. All right. No need to put www in front of anything. All right. So let's go back to Kinsta. Let's tell them again, I've done it. Please go check. And again, you're going to get emails for all of this stuff if you don't want to sit and watch the screen. But you see how fast now we are live. Our website is live at this point. And you could click one of these URLs to get into the admin, WordPress admin, or just go check it visually on the front end. We're going to continue through the Kinsta screens here and then see where we're at. Next up is tools. And I only mess with a few things in here to get started. I force HTTPS 100%. Do all of this stuff in this order, guys. There's a reason why the project template is laid out in the way it is, and there's a reason why I do this in the order that I do it in. Okay, we're just going to choose force HTTPS on all of our live domains and click this button here. At this point, you have just that easily set your secure URLs. You have implemented an SSL certificate. If you've ever implemented an SSL certificate from some web host like GoDaddy, for example, it is an absolute, it's not this pleasant of an experience. Okay. And when you go to renew that SSL in the future, it's not a pleasant experience. Kinsta makes it all super, super simple. Okay. PHP engine, I recommend at the point of this recording, I would make this 8.2 and then click modify PHP version. Every version of PHP that you go up, security and performance is going to increase. However, you run the risk of some plugins and themes not supporting that PHP version yet. Okay. I've been running PHP 8.3, which is the latest version that Kinsta provides on every site of mine. And I've not noticed any issues yet. So totally up to you there, but you got to know what you are doing and test everything thoroughly once you enable that. Okay. You got to know the official stance too, like WooCommerce, like what are they saying is the minimum version that they support? MyListing, Elementor, there's a lot of things to consider there for that. Okay, and that is it. That's all we need to change here to get started. Redirects, this is really awesome and really powerful. So a lot of times I will see redirect plugins on new client sites that I onboard for website care or manage my listing or whatever. And you don't need that. You shouldn't have that. So you shouldn't be doing redirects at the application level, which is WordPress, the WordPress level. At a minimum, you should be doing redirects at the web host, which is Kinsta in this case. You can use Kinsta's redirects here. Do not use a plugin for this. It adds unnecessary performance hits on your website because it has to take up some of its processing power and whatever other resources to do those redirects for you. Okay. So do it at a minimum at the server level. Even better is do them at the Cloudflare level. Do it at the highest level possible, which is Cloudflare. They give you, you can set up rules. There's a redirect rules you can see right here. You can set up redirect rules at this level. Okay. Don't even let them get to your server side. Do it at the CDN level. All right. Next up is themes and plugins. This just shows you what themes and plugins that you have installed currently on your site. We're going to skip IP deny right now, but you could block IP addresses from hitting your site. Kinsta gives you a nice set of analytics here. Okay. CDN, that is, again, Kinsta has a tight relationship with Cloudflare to provide enterprise level features that you would have to pay, I think it's $200 a month for if you just had Cloudflare Enterprise. It's just crazy, but it makes the Kinsta value just a crazy value, right? So highly recommend the Club's Kinsta plan if you're not on it. Even if you're not in MyListing, don't have a MyListing website and you're watching this by chance, it's just the same plan. My agency owns the plan. You can jump on it. It doesn't have to be a MyListing website, but obviously this course is about MyListing. I've had people in the past shutter their business and convert their MyListing website into just like a basic blog, just so the website could live on, and they would say, oh, I don't have a MyListing website anymore, so I'm not going to host with you. And do you have any hosting recommendations? And I would say, well, it doesn't have to be a MyListing website for me to host it. It just has to be WordPress. And they're like, oh, great. Yeah, let's just keep it where it is then. So I wanted to make that point clear. Okay, because we're going to be building this website from scratch together as we would like a real project, we will actually want to disable the CDN. Okay, we don't want to fight that level of caching while we're building. It's just one more thing we got to fight with. Clear the cache, make sure we're seeing what we're seeing. Okay, before we do that, I want to draw the attention to this image optimization option. As part of that relationship with Cloudflare and that those enterprise features, they're giving you the Mirage feature of Cloudflare that you have to pay for free with Kinsta. So that's what this is right here. We're gonna tackle that later. But I wanted to point that out. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna disable the CDN. And we're going to choose to opt out just so Kinsta won't turn it back on for us. Okay, we're going to turn it back on ourselves. Edge caching, same thing. We're going to disable this. So you've got the CDN level, which is Cloudflare. You got the edge, which is like another layer of caching that sits at the edge of your infrastructure and does a different type of caching. Okay, again, it's part of that relationship with Kinsta and Cloudflare, but we don't want to fight that at this point. Okay, so what this leaves us with is there's a little bit of caching that still happens. You can't turn it all off 100%, but it's minuscule and it often does not come into play. But is what it is. Okay, but we've turned off the big daddies. APM, if you want to do some really advanced monitoring of your site, if you just want to really fine-tune, dial in the performance of your site, or if you're experiencing an issue and you need to troubleshoot, that's what this is for, okay? Manage users, you can invite people into your Kinsta account. User activity, you can see what people have been doing what stuff on your account. And then logs, if you need to troubleshoot anything, there's these different error logs. You can see who's been accessing your stuff, that sort of thing, okay? Really, really cool, really beautiful interface, simple to use. I love it. Sometimes I have to, for like friends and family, dive into their web hosts and help with things. And it's just awful. Once you're used to the Kinsta, it's just awful working with some of those clunky old like cPanels and crap like that. Kinsta's beautiful. Okay. SSL certificate, we've knocked that down. If you're not with Kinsta, you saw how easy it is. Just make sure you get that SSL certificate in there and ensure those URLs are secure. So we're going to delete that task. We've completed it. We've disabled all caching. We can get rid of that task. Staging. Okay, we want to do this right from the very beginning because, like I said, I don't want people testing plugins testing anything on their live website. It should all be done in staging. That's why some people might say, hey, well, I'll fire up a staging site, later on and blah, 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 blah. Do that right away. When you get to those first plugins that you're questionable about, you're not 100% sure that you're going to use that plugin long-term. Don't go just installing that on your live website and testing it because it's going to fill up your database with a bunch of crap that's going to slow down your website and create a mess over time. So we want to create a staging site right away, and Kinsta makes that stupid simple, all right? So we just click on this live toggle right here, and we choose Create Environment. Kinsta offers what they call a premium environment, and that's just, it's a staging environment that matches the performance of your actual live website, okay? And if you happen to be on the club's Kinsta plan or my agency's Kinsta plan, it's all the same thing. I'll just call it agency plan from here on out. You're going to get all that crazy power that comes with my agency plan. Tons more PHP workers and all kinds of other stuff. Okay, so that's what this does. It's allowing you to tap into all of that. All right. Otherwise, you can just do free. When you use the free staging environment with Kinsta, it is a very dumbed down version. It's going to be much slower. It's not going to have all the resources. that your live website would have or a premium environment would have. And the reason for that is Keystone doesn't want you running like real world production websites from a staging environment. They just don't want you doing that because you're not paying for two hosting, full blown hostings, right? So that makes sense. All right, so we're going to click continue here on the standard environment. We're just going to choose to clone our existing environment. I'm just going to call this staging. You can call it whatever you want. And we're going to choose the environment to clone, which is our live site. And then we're going to click continue. Now you can install a new WordPress instance and tinker around if you just want to test some stuff. That's totally cool. Not a problem. But we're going to clone our live website into staging. Now, one argument can be made. We just cloned our site, which has nothing on it, right? That's fine. That's totally fine because it is super, super simple to refresh your staging site. Depending on how fast that creates and where we're at with this particular lesson, I may or may not show you that in this video, but we'll see. Okay, staging. Yeah, I covered everything there. Yeah, we're good there. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. And I think we might be done here with this particular video. Again, I just wanted to go over the infrastructure with CDN, the domain, and Cloudflare. And I think we can call this a wrap. Let me see where we are here with the staging. This typically takes a little bit, but I can show you this. I'll show you this. Let's say you want to back up, like we've been going here for a while and we've got our sites being built. Cool. It's got a lot of stuff on it. We want to now update our staging environment. So for that is a good place where you could restore daily to it. So you see you have the option here to restore it to staging. If you happen to have hourly backup, you can do that. But this is a good point for doing a manual backup. I can't do it right now because the staging environment's being created. But you could just say, hey, I want to take the latest, greatest, like up to the second copy of my production site, my live site. I'm going to create a manual backup of it. And then once that backup finishes, it's going to take it takes like 5 seconds. Once that's done, you can then restore that over to your staging. And then it's just going to overwrite that environment and give you a fresh staging environment. That is the one real use that I use the manual backups for. I do that all the time, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah. All right, guys. I covered everything I wanted to cover in this lesson, and I will see you in the next one. Hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. All right. See you later.